Good morning, guys. Welcome in. Welcome. How is everybody doing? Good morning. Good morning. It is Monday. It is February 9th. It is Monday. It is Monday. It is Monday. It feels like a Monday. Wow. It feels like a one of those Mondays, right? Welcome in. I hope you guys are ready to dive in. We have a lot to go over this morning, as we always do. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Wisconsin. It's probably what's the temperature in Wisconsin? What's the temperature in Wisconsin? Because it's terrible here. It's a bit better than last week though. This morning it's a little bit better. All right. All right, all right. 12 in Boston, 32 in Africa. 32? Is it 32 in Africa? Is it really? Which part of Africa is it 32? Wow. I'm in New York and it is cold here, but it is supposed to be the first. It's supposed to be warming up now. This is it, right? The cold snap I think is over. So it is East Africa. East Africa. Okay, interesting. Wow, so it's cold in Africa. It's cold everywhere. It's cold everywhere. All right, so a lot to go over this morning, guys. We have a lot to go over. We have things to talk about. Things are moving, right? Market rebounded on Friday, right? And it was something that we knew could have happened, but not something that I was ready to get aggressive on, right? And it happened on Friday. It did. And it was one of these things that you kind of knew in the back of your head, okay, this might happen. And the reason why was because we were coming off that major support, but the downtrend was still very much intact. So it was difficult to really get behind the upside on Friday, at least on the S&P, right? Now, granted, once we broke 685 and we saw us reclaim it, I would say by 10:45, 11. I would say really the long on Friday happened not prior to 11 o'clock. It actually happened around, you'll see over here, around this 10:45 area, right? Because initially, market was rejecting supply, right? We moved into supply, we were rejecting off supply, but then we got back above it, right? And this reclaim was your bulk thesis on Friday, which caused the upside. And I would say, if you were trading off the open, you probably didn't really get the long entry, right? I mean, at least I wouldn't have, right? But right over here is where you can see things begin to shift in the market, right? You saw the market shift, you saw the market recapture levels, and that is where you saw us basically reclaim, right? And if you guys recall from Friday, we spoke about the idea of, hey, we're downtrending, hey, we're structuring down, hey, we're bearish, but contextually we're coming off demand. And if we do reclaim 685, that's where the shift from bear to bull happens. And interestingly enough, it happened on Friday, right? This is what happened on Friday, and the market ripped and rallied into highs after rejecting initially. And so, what does that mean for today? Well, that means for today that our levels are actually very simple, right? Our levels are abundantly clear because we know that the level that made us rip and rally on Friday is the level that we must maintain this morning for more upside to occur, right? And so that's our thesis this morning. And we're going to talk about like the hold spots in the market, things that are coming out. Right? I read this whole thing about Goldman Sachs coming out this morning. Goldman basically said this. And guys, I want you to understand one thing. I will reiterate information to you in an unbiased format because that's what I do. But Goldman Sachs issued this report this morning, and I read through the report, and they said basically the sell that happened on Wednesday and Thursday, right? The Wednesday, Thursday sell in the market, the software tech crash, they said it is not over, right? They mentioned the fact that basically you have a lot of these funds who are going to cyclically sell this week, and they're going to do everything they can to sell. And even if the market does move higher, they're still selling. And they mentioned the idea that there's about $30 billion worth of assets that need to be sold in order for them to meet the requirements, right? So that's what Goldman issued this morning, basically saying that, hey, bearish, 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 right? Markets can move down. And the idea that even if the market moves up, that it's still bearish, right? So again, take that as you will, because I don't want you to think that's, oh, we're all going to short this morning, right? But I want you to understand that there are, it's interesting because, yeah, we're moving higher, but there's still some people saying that we're moving lower, right? And the tacticals basically guide everything. And so if we do see us fail below tactical level again, if we see us break down beneath 685, well, then I think we can have that short bias again, right? So I want to dive into that. I want you guys to be clear that that it's not so simple going into this Monday. I think Monday is Monday, right? Monday is always a Monday where you want to get that bias, right? And have an understanding what the market's going to do. But I think this Monday in particular is really important because we had a bull bear shift, right, on Friday. It's always interesting, right? A bull bear shift on Friday going into a Monday session. What does the market do? That's important. Okay. Qs we'll talk about. QQQ obviously moving higher, but not really shifting out of the bear sentiment, right? Because QQQ is not, right? This is super important. The Qs are still bearish. It's very important. The Qs are still bearish. And if you look at the IWM is still bullish, right? The IWM, the Russell, right, is incredibly bullish this morning, right? And so it's super difference between these ETFs, creating a very interesting session here this morning, okay? My dog is running around behind me, so just bear with that. Okay, what I want to do is, wow, I'm lagging already. You know what it is? Okay. I have my biggest pet peeve is when I start lagging. It's my biggest pet peeve. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try something. The only way for me to do this is because we have so many people here in the live. I think I lag out because I think when we reach a certain number on YouTube that it lags me out. I'm gonna try doing something where I disconnect one of my monitors, okay? And I'm gonna see if that helps the lag, okay? Because that's what somebody told me to do. What does it mean? I don't know. Did it help? No, it didn't. I'm still lagging. Okay, so that idea is done. All right, anyways, we'll figure it out later, but I wanted to test that theory. Okay, so what I want to do today is I want to talk about econ data earnings reports, then we'll dive back into our charts and we'll have a great session, okay? I have one announcement to make, one important announcement to make. It's a very important announcement, so be careful. In about 3 minutes' time, I will announce it, right? Today's session, econ data for Monday, it's nothing, right? We have no data from this Monday session. It's not important. Going into tomorrow, Tuesday, we have some routine data, Wednesday routine data, Thursday routine data, and then Friday, out of nowhere, out of the sky, CPI data is here. Why is it here? Well, because we had a government shutdown in between PPI and CPI. So we've had a massive gap in between PPI and CPI. Out of nowhere, we have CPI. This CPI is joined together with the PPI from, I believe, last week, or is it 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago, right? And so interesting to see that, right? But of course, this CPI is joined together with that PPI. So remember, if you are trying to forecast a CPI, use last PPI 2 weeks ago, right? I think that's the right view, right? On the earnings docket, you can see that it is a hefty earnings week. I want to full screen this thing. I want to make this a bit bigger. Can we make this bigger? How can I make this bigger? Like this. There you go. Bigger? No, it's too big now. Now we're better. Okay. So I want to get this higher right there. Yep. Perfect. So in the pre-market this morning, we have Monday.com, we have APO, CLF, right? Nothing crazy. Some tech names. We have OnCloud on this Monday session after hours. We have KO, open as well, OPEN. We have KO, Coca-Cola on that Tuesday pre-market. We have CVS on this on that pre-market session. We have Pfizer, we have D-Dog, Datadog, we have Hood, Robinhood, we have A-Lab, we have Lyft, we have Ford. Some big names reporting on Tuesday. Wednesday, same thing. We have some more tech names. A lot of what's reporting this week is the Russell, right? The IWM small cap names all reporting this week. Shopify is a big example of that. Unity, right? Unity is a big one. HUM as well. T-Mobile. We have APP. We have AppLovin, right? Cisco, CSCO. We have HubSpot, HUBS, which has been absolutely cooked. A lot of these software names have been so incredibly roasted, right? For the past 2 weeks, it's been a slow roast in these names. We have MBIS, we have MLCO, we have Coinbase, we have Pinterest, PINS, interesting one on Pinterest. We have Moderna, we have Wendy's, and that's all we have, right? So again, the point part of this week is there's no one important name. It's a mixture of a lot of smaller ones. Hood, I missed Robinhood, guys. Robinhood also a very big one this week. Okay, so obviously it's a very important earnings season, very important earnings week, mostly for the IWM though, right? Okay, to my announcement. The announcement that I want to make is that I did not select a giveaway winner, right? There are either 4 or 5, I think 5 giveaway winners we're selecting, or 6. I can't remember the number we said. But I did not select a single person. So bear with me, just being honest, right? Tomorrow I will do it. Well, today I will do it. So it'll be announced today, and you guys will know first thing tomorrow morning the giveaway winners, right? That's the one thing I'm very bad with is sometimes I say I'm going to do the giveaway, and then I just don't do it for a few days. Again, that's something that I did not do, but I will do it today. You have my word, okay? That is the giveaway, right? No, you cannot enter again. If you comment the word Wimam, it's not going to happen again, right? I'm going off of Friday's session, right? So moving on, let's dive into our charts, guys. That is the announcement I wanted to make because I'm surprised nobody has mentioned it yet. People are going to start saying fake giveaway, fake giveaway. You know what happens, okay? So let's dive into our charts now. On your end, guys, does anybody notice a lag? Is anybody noticing a lag on your end? You can just let me know, like, yes or no. Is it okay? Before I proceed, give me a yes or no. Someone asked us, I didn't even see that. I didn't see that. Yeah, charts are more important, but we still will do it. Slight lag, no lag. Okay, mostly no lag. All right, so that's good. Maybe it's just me then. Maybe it's just me. So we're fine then. Let's just continue onward then. Right. So the S&P chart, basically the S&P chart reclaimed, right? And this was the thing that I thought would not happen on Friday happened, basically, right? We mentioned the idea that, hey, supply rejection. Yes, there's a case here we go higher, but I doubt it. Why would I doubt it? Because we are gapping up, gap and go, very unlikely on a weak market, right? And it actually worked out to be the opposite, right? You saw us initially reject off 685 supply, and the 685 supply turned into support later on the session, right? So if you guys recall, we spoke about this about maybe 5 minutes ago, but the idea basically was that we had 685 as supply. We initially rejected off the supply zone, but then we got back above it, right? And the long happened, in my opinion, the real long happened over here, right? This is where the market turned from a bear market to a bull market. So a bear bull shift happened on that Friday session, which is very interesting because bear bull shifts on a Friday, right, going into a Monday session, that is definitely an interesting way to end the week. Why am I saying that, right? Because if you look at the weekly time frame, let's just do something interesting. Let's go to the weekly time frame, right? And I want you to see the bar that we formed on that weekly time frame. And so this to me is so important, right? Because we were looking super weak on Friday. And then all of a sudden the market reclaimed and recaptured, right? We reclaimed and turned this whole candle into a pin bar, right? And I want you guys to see the larger time frame here. The larger time frame is saying, hey, we were bearish. Oh, wait, nope, never mind, we're back bullish. Look at the daily time frame. The daily time frame, that pin bar was incredible, right? We had one of these little very, very weak candles, right? Under 680. Market looked like it was going to go lower. And everyone was saying lower, lower, lower. Even myself, I was saying lower. I said, if you guys recall on Friday, I said the market likely goes lower, right? And look at what happened. Out of nowhere, from the middle of nowhere, right? The market just came out and said, you know what? No, I want to rip and rally. And it did that, right? It broke above, it reclaimed, and it produced a very strong candle. Now, here's the thing. The daily and weekly time frame look bullish. They look very bullish, right? But on the 15-minute time frame, the 1 hour time frame, there are some things that we have to contend with, right? And if you want to talk about those things, let's talk about the first thing this morning being the supply above us at that 695, right? You can see 695 supply is an area we do not want to be long into. Where you can see the 7,000 ES area is the first leg of resistance to watch out for, right? That's the first area, right? The second area to watch out for is back at our demand below here at 685. And usually when I see a bull bear reclaim, I'll be the first person to say, let's look for a pullback long over here at 685 for an upside move. This would be your bull thesis today, right? This would be a continuation of the bull thesis. Why? Because on a big rally on Friday, a pullback to demand from the breakout level from our Friday session is the best long spot this morning. That's the best long spot right here, right? This is where it is. Now, this is super important. If the market fails today, it would look the same exact way. And that's the problem, right? Because if we fail below 685 today, this would be your short side move, and a downside play comes in under 682, under 676, and back into 670. I think that they're both valid today, and it's a Monday. And so this is why I'm saying is we're open to both scenarios this morning. Yes, the most logical scenario would be, the most probable scenario would be, obviously we just pull back to 685, we maintain it, we turn it into a long, and we continue the bull thesis. Because again, if this is a bear thesis, right, it's lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. A bull thesis means what? If we're back in the bull thesis, we mean that we're forming higher lows. So we have a high, and we have not formed that higher low yet. And so the higher low should form over here, or it should form over here. And so that's your bull thesis. Again, though, I'm open to both sides, and I don't think you guys should be ready to all go load the boat on longs today, right? I think that if you see 685 hold and you have a technical reason to go long, then by all means, right, go long at 685. But if the market fails under 685, I would be hesitant in going long because we're going to go to 682, and under 682, we're back in bear thesis again, and we're going in at sub 670s, right? So it's a very interesting open this morning. And the reason why I'm even talking about the idea of us flipping bearish is because if you look at Qs, QQQ is not strong, right? This is really important. I want you guys to understand this. It is very unusual for us to have a completely different SPY in Qs. Usually you have some discrepancy, maybe some outperformance in SPY or some outperformance in Qs, but QQQ is bearish, right? Why are the Qs bearish? Because the QQQ is bearish because we are forming lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? We're forming lower highs here, right? And so when you look at Qs, you're like, whoa, this is clearly bearish. But when we look at SPY, it's clearly bullish. So one of these indices, one of these ETFs, is scamming us, right? We just don't know which one it is. If you see the Qs get back above 611 here, if the QQ reclaims 611 above our Friday's highs, then we go higher. And we know that the bull thesis is most likely going to happen, right? And then I would trust SPY even more so. But if you see Qs reject here at the 611s, right, and go back down lower in a 600, which is very probable because again we're in supply this morning, then you would expect the SPY to do the same thing, but then perhaps fail under 685 and go lower, right? So this morning is a morning we need to just be data collectors, right? We have a bull bias here in SPY and a bear bias here in Qs, and that to me is a reason to be very, very cautious, right? Very cautious and just collect the data before you make that first trade off the open. Go to ES chart for a second because we didn't talk about it. On the ES chart, you can see this is your level, right? We have, obviously this chart's fully bullish right now, right? You can see we had a downward trending ES, downward trending SPY. We broke above it all of a sudden, and we're now reclaiming ripping higher. If you go to the 5-minute chart, what did I say? What did I say about the ES on our Friday? We were not wrong, right? Look at this. We said, do not long the ES into 6,900. This is your main rejection point. Look at where the market rejected on Friday. It was not the wrong idea, right? Understand that. Look at this. We rejected it perfectly off of the highs of 6,900, right? Market moved from 6,900 flat all the way to 6,872. A $28 downside move here on the ES chart. But what we did do is we actually got back above it. And this is the most interesting spot right over here, right? So remember I said around 1045 on our SPY chart? Well, on the ES chart, it's the same thing. It was about 11 o'clock on the ES chart, right? It says 10, but that really means 11 o'clock, right? And so we know that this was a reclaim that caused the market to rip higher. A wham, right? The market ripped higher here. We maintained above 6,900 ES. And so our level, the most important level on the SPY chart, is the level that we reclaimed on Friday. And that level, as we just mentioned, is 6,900. If we are above this level, then we are sustaining a bull trend. And so that's where our bias is today. My bias personally is, are we above the lows from that Thursday, the 29th, the pre-market, the lows here from Tuesday session, the 3rd, the level we held here on Wednesday, the breakdown level on Thursday, and the reclaim level on Friday. Are we above it? If we are, then this is clearly a bull side move, right? This is a bull side move, and we're looking for longs here. But again, the problem is the Qs because the Qs look clearly bearish. So one of these tickers are going to tell us who's right. But as of right now, the ES and SPY look bullish to me, right? And where are we going to? We should go back into 7,000 ES. If you fail below 6,900, then we are looking for a downside move back into 68.57. Under 68.57, downside move onto to that low here, that pre-market low here on Thursday. And this would be an absolutely beautiful trade as well. I would love this trade. Why? I would actually love it even more. Why? Because you would have SPY and Qs moving together. That's the idea, is when you're trading these names, you want more conviction to go long or go short. Look for multiple confluences, right? Multiple things saying the same thing. The more things that say the same thing, the more likely it is to happen. And right now, you have one thing saying one thing, the other thing saying something else. So let's see what happens going into our session. On the IWM, it's bullish, right? And this is a chart that we knew was bullish for a while. We knew not to go short here on the IWM. The reason why was because of a clear outperformance, right? It was maintaining demand on a larger time frame, on the 1 hour trend. In my opinion, if SPY does go higher, if SPY goes higher for whatever reason today, the IWM is going to outperform the S&P 500. And where is it going to? My view is that if the market sustains strong, this is a contingency, then we are going to go higher back into these highs over here, right? Which would be 272 here at IWM. And so this is interesting, right? On Friday's session, I decided that I wanted to trade relative names. I said, screw it. I'm not trading SPY today. I'm not going to signal SPY today. I'm just going to trade relative names. And the relative name that I traded was Apple. And that was a good play for me because, again, that kept me in the green on Thursday and it kept me in the green on Friday. Now, you can see the IWM is an example of an outperformer. If you think SPY is going to go higher and you know that IWM is outperforming, then you could use this as your proxy for your SPY long, if that makes sense, right? Understand that's a very effective way to trade. Now, granted, you can't just long it willy-nilly. You can't just say, SPY is strong, I'm going to go long on the IWM. No, you can't just do that all the time. But what you can do is you could use that to watch longs on the IWM and then use it with your levels to trigger your entry, right? That is something that I want to make very clear. And so this morning here on the IWM, if we do get back above the 265s here on this little break and retest of these, maybe this Friday's highs, of that Wednesday's highs, of the Tuesday's highs, of the big consolidation point here, if we get back above this leg over here, then my view is that we should see a move higher on this break, this retest, an upside move back into 272, right? This would be a very likely scenario, assuming the market maintains itself, right? If SPY does not hold, if SPY fails, Q start failing, then the IWM is going to do this. It'll just do this, right? It'll just do that, right? So again, very clear. 265 highs here on Friday. You must understand how much this moved. This moved almost 3%, 2.4% here on Friday. So definitely an outperformer here. Let's see what happens going into our Monday session. Okay. Let's move on, guys. We have 1,200 viewers here this morning, and we have approximately 73 likes. You guys are making it look like I'm buying my view count, right? That's what it looks like right now. It looks like I'm buying my view count. How is that possible? How is that possible? Okay, let's start off with the first ticker of today's session, the Appler. So Apple I liked for a long time. I traded this a lot last week. This week I am retiring it a little bit probably because we are getting near supply highs, right? So I longed Apple here on Thursday. Nice upside move. I used this low here as a proxy to go long on the market, right? When SPY was at demand. Got a big upside move on Thursday. And then on Friday's session, I longed it right over here at that candle low here at 935. Big upside move into highs here at 280. Pretty much from 278.50 all the way to 280 plus, which was a sick trade on Friday. I longed it again over here at this 278 level. Upside move, right? But then you notice something, right? This is something that I think is really important. Apple began to slow down, right? I want you guys to notice something, right? Notice how Apple, the strongest name in the market, eventually started to lose its bearings, right? It started to kind of fade, right? It showed you that the buyers here were getting tired, right? The tiresome buyers, despite the SPY moving higher, right? Look at where SPY closed. SPY closed at the highs, right? SPY closed at the highs. Compare SPY to every 1 hour increment on Friday session. Compare it, right? This is 4 p.m., right? It's 16 o'clock, 4 p.m., right? Go back over here, 15 p.m., so that's 3 p.m. Go back even more, that's 13, so that would be 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 12 o'clock over here, right? So you can see at every hourly increment, it is higher than that previous hourly candle, right? Go to the Apple chart. What's going on here, right? Apple, the strongest name in the market, turning weak. And so this morning on Apple, I would no longer watch longs in this, right? I think that we should stay away from it, at least until we get it back above these highs, right? You can see we have some consolidation highs here. We have some resistance above us. And for that reason, I am saying we steer clear, right? We turn the ship away, right? The iceberg is there. Let's stay away from this because I don't want to be in this name if it turns relatively weak. Because again, this is interesting. The relatively strong names in the market eventually turn weak, right? The relatively weak names in the market eventually turn strong. And I think that could happen here on Apple. Apple is a overcooked goose in the oven, right? It's time to take the goose out, right? Let's take it out, right? It's getting a little burnt here. That, in my opinion, is what's happening here in Apple. Am I right about it? I don't know. But that's my thesis, right? My thesis is this is a strong name that may turn weak this week, and I'm going to stay away from it, right? If it clears 281, if it builds up 281, then by all means, we can go long on it again, right? If it clears above Friday's highs, then by all means, we're long bias. We're looking for longs again. Bam, we're good to go, right? But as of right now, Apple, there are some warning bells here, some warning signs that are signaling that I think we should be aware of. NVIDIA chart, okay? That is not NVIDIA. This is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, relatively weak, turning strong, right? Again, this is a prime example. Look at this, a relatively weak name, a name that nobody wanted to long, right? But turning strong. And why did this chart turn strong? Well, because it came off of a big support zone, right? A big support here on this Friday, basically 170 as support, right? And where do we move into though? We move from demand lows to the most important supply highs. The supply highs here at 186. This is a super, super clear inflection point. Demand lows to supply highs. I think we're all watching 186 today, right? 186, if we're below it, we're bearish. If we're above it, we're bullish. This morning, though, I'm actually looking for the failure here at 186. If we are below 186, I'm looking for shorts. If we're above 186, I'm looking for longs. But as of right now, this morning, what am I focused on? I'm focused on shorts. Why? Because we had a big push in a supply here. Supply is still supply until it breaks. But again, this is a prime example of a weak name turning strong. So let's see what happens here going into a Friday morning or a Monday morning, okay? AMD. We're going to move faster now, guys. We're moving faster. AMD chart. AMD, another example, right? You can see a very weak name, but it's beginning to maintain demand here at 195. And you can see this is a name that we knew not to go short into because, again, relatively weak, right? But into a big demand zone. This red box over here is demand. And now we held it, right? So where are we going to? In my opinion, AMD should go to 215, right? 215 is the most logical spot here. 215 is the most logical spot. 215 is resistance, though. It's an area I'd watch out for shorts, right? So if I'm looking for anything today, my view is this chart does go to 215. Does it reject here at 215? That's what I would be thinking, right? I would be looking for that reject here at 215. Why? Because that's your big resistance. My resistance here at 215, 230, and 239. If you're a fib trader, if you are a fib trader, go to this aggressive downward move here, right? And you're going to see somewhere around this 38. It's not perfect, right? This is not lining up perfectly, right? But you know that the closer this moves in a supply, right, which would be 215 and 212, that whole zone over here is an area I'd watch for shorts, right? And again, for me, it's mostly going to be, I ran the fib wrong. I just ran the fib wrong and nobody said anything about it, right? I ran the fib wrong and nobody said a single thing about it. That is horrible. There you go. That's the right fib. It's the same thing though, right? It's maybe off by 30 cents. But you guys were about to let me run the fib and not say a single thing about it being wrong. Started from the highs of Tuesday session to the lows of our Thursday session, okay? That produces a fib here at 212.50, which would be, that's about $2 away from your main supply. So again, it's nothing crazy here. But if you are looking for supply rejections, 215 is a watch here, right? Let's see what happens today here on the Apple chart, okay? SMH, the SMH chart is ripping, right? It's ripping. It's held above 390. This is a very important thing, is 390 being a hold spot. If we're above 390, we're bullish. That's all it is, right? 390, big demand now. So we know that if this is going to be a long, we know that 390 must hold, okay? let's move on. Tesla. Tesla 415. I mean, could you get more clear than this? This to me is the same thing as NVIDIA, guys. NVIDIA and Tesla both in supply this morning, right? These names are both trading into a very big level of resistance. What do we do here? This is the Dune Zone, right? This is the Dune Zone. If you don't know what the Dune Zone is, if you don't know what this is, right, then you're shit out of luck, right? But this is the Dune Zone. This is it's textbook, right? This is a textbook scientific verbiage, right? You must know this, okay? And we don't want to see us back in the Dune Zone, because if we get back above 4 and 5, we're just going to slowly zombie grind higher back into 450, right? But if we maintain here under 4 and 5, then this is bearish, right? You can see a series of lows, turning into a high here right now in the pre-market session. This, in my opinion, would be a downside move, right? So let's see what happens here. 4 and 5 resistance. As long as we're under 4 and 5, this is a short. Okay? If we're back above 4 and 5, we're in the Dune Zone. Put the goggles on because we're going higher, right? Moving on. Let's go over a few of the names, guys. We have to go fast. We have to go fast. CRM. That's the first one I see. CRM, very weak. Obviously, tech is weak. These names will dead cat bounce, guys. Eventually, these names will dead cat bounce. Where does a dead cat bounce in? A dead cat's probably around 190, right? It's likely right here, right? I would argue likely right here. 190 is your support, and we're trading right back into it. I don't like software names. I really don't like software names, but there are some names that you can long. If you guys are in the chat, you know what I'm talking about. I mentioned the idea that we should not buy all these dips. There's some dips I don't want to buy. And I'll explain more about that later on. But CRM, I think, does have a little bit of a moat, right? So there is a little bit of, I need to do more research here, transparently, right? But CRM is weak. There's a lot of tech names reporting, so let's see what happens. But 190 as technical level of support, that's what we're trading into, right? So we know 190 is holding here. If 190 holds, upside. If we fell below 190, we're going into 164, right? That's the next big level. 164 is your next high volume pocket, okay? SoFi. SoFi is a buyerino, right? We are buying SoFi. I am buying SoFi. For me, look at this daily time frame. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? This is a beautiful daily time frame. I'm buying SoFi, right? I'll make some updates to my averages today, okay? Walmart, WMT. Wow. Walmart, super strong. Target, super strong. Retail, super strong, right? The retail names are maintaining beautifully. Your pullback long spot on the Walmart charts right over here, right? You want to look for a pullback long, a little sneaky pullback long? Look for the 129.50s for a break and retest hold spot, right? That's what we have here on the on this chart. Scamazon, right? Scamazon, obviously in a daily gap right now, guys. This is in a daily gap. Look at this daily gap here. You can see this is a daily gap here still on the Amazon chart. It's has a low over here. And wow, look, see, we're not lagging right now, right? It's actually not lagging. I can tell we're not lagging as much. So 220 as your big support or resistance, and then 200 as your big support, right? So in my view, this chart does gap fill. I think it does gap fill, right? It will fill the gap to 220 at some point. Is there a long there? Probably, right? So if you want to look for a long, you can do it. Where's your confirmation for longs? It's got to at least be above the highs for Friday, right? So if 212 reclaims, we're going into 220. That's your big resistance. Guys, that is it for me today. Thank you all for joining in. It's 9:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy your trading session. Have a great trading session. It's Monday, right? Trade safe, trade smart. Do not be the first person to trade, right? Wait for a real read the market. Wait for that bias to confirm, then take the trade. Anyways, have a great session, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.